So this is a new file that I just added. That's automation task. So just click to open. I hope you have it.
Yes, please. What are it?
Okay. So when a lot come to the automation, but like I said, you cannot just automate it when you don't have control over certain things. Okay. So I really want you to understand the automation concept very well. And then you have command in the coding as well. Okay. So now for retrieving current working directory, which I said that we use the os.get current working directory. Okay, and that should your current working directory where maybe you've opened your Python file or where you are writing your scripts. Okay, so that should give you your current working directory. And if I want to list the directory content, so you want to see the directory content, what you have in your directory, use the os.list directory. So the list there will take you to the directory path to see all the files that you have in your folder. Okay. Then when you want to create a directory, okay, so you use os.directory, okay, to create what a single folder in an existing file. So existing path. So if maybe your path where you want to specify is not there and you use this, is going to throw some error. So you realize that the example that we did, I use make directory, make there instead of make there. If maybe you've taken notice of that, I don't know if you checked the first one that we did before the example that I ran with you. Realize I used it. Okay. The last time when we were doing, I make mention of it, but I didn't ask. So there is a difference between the two. One, if the directory doesn't exist, it will create for you. Maybe the parent directory you want to use is not doesn't exist. It will create for you before it create the subdirectory. But this one, if the parent directory doesn't exist, it will throw for you. That's the difference. Okay. And to change your directory. So now if I want to change my directory, we use os.change directory. Okay, so that navigates to the different directory that you want to move to. So maybe if I've created a subdirectory and I want to move to the subdirectory, I use the os.change there. That should do that. But if I want to move back to my parent directory, use the dot, okay, just to move you back to your original level that you were before. Okay, so that is what. Okay, so you can just try this. What I want you to do, you could be trying, just take your time, be taking the command step by step. You get the how all these things works. Okay, now what's the difference between the os dot make there and the os dot make devs? Okay, so now these are already explained to you. So one will create a single directory. One can create a multiple directory, even if the parent directory doesn't exist. To create that and create a subdirectory. So that's the difference. Okay. Now, so we this is a simple example where you could do a little bit of practice on your own. So, for instance, to work with the OS, you first import your OS, then you do your os.get working directory, then you can get your directory. You can list the contents of your directory by using the os.list the directory, which you were able to list the directory that you just created. And then you can create a new directory by using os.make the subdirectory. And you can also list your subdirectory. Okay, you can make changes into a new directory. Okay, then all the navigation. So now, if I've moved to maybe a subdirectory, I want to come back to the parent directory. You use the dot dot, and that should move you back to your parent directory. And then you can also confirm your directory by using os.get directory without anything there, and that should move you to your check the directory in which you are in. You want to just confirm. Okay, so that is what, like I said, that if you want to use this and then this directory doesn't exist, it's going to throw an error for you. So, for instance, let's see how this one, the different work, maybe so you get the understanding of what exactly I'm talking about. So, first thing, let me go to my folder and delete some files from there. I just, let me see here. Okay, so I'm going to delete this one from here. Okay, so I've taken that directory there. So you can see that that directory doesn't exist. Okay, and then let's see this sub. Okay, so I'm just taking all these directories there. So they don't exist in my file. So sub there is my directory, and you can see that I don't have any folder here. Okay, so let's see how this works. So let me open my Tony first. This simple code. So now I'm going to just try this. So just to demonstrate this part, they make so we have this line of code. So what exactly what we are seeing here is that now we know with this line, this is what going to throw an error for us. So of course, we want to catch it in case it throws an error. We now give a message to it. Okay, so that is why you see this one in a try and catch probe. So in case, so what we are saying that when you use the make there, when you use the make there here, it just creates a single directory. So for instance, is we want to create this directory, which is new test del. Okay, so now if I don't have the parent directory like test2 and I want to use this, definitely it's going to throw an error. That's what it means. Now here, when you use the make dels, what happens is that it's not going to throw an error even if this parent directory doesn't exist. It will create it and create the subdirectory as well. So that is what make the difference. So now let's see. Let me do a little bit of saving here and save it to the directory. So now you can see here, this is the directory that I want to save my work. Okay, so let's do it. So now I've just saved the work. Okay, so let's import OS so that we don't import OS. Now let's see. So now once I run this code, you could see that it throws an error that is win error 3, and it says that the system cannot find the path what test was 2/new test dev. Okay, so which tells us that this part couldn't go through because this doesn't exist. Okay, now the next one did created it. So now you could see here when we check our new directory, it could just give us the new directory that this one has been created. If you can see from here, from line 8, you could see that God succeeded. So when we check our current working directory, then you could see here, okay, so now this tells us that we've created our directory and then there's nothing inside there. So you could see all these ones working. Now, if we go through our folder, this tells you that this is what we have. Okay. Now let's do a simple another example. Now I'm going to change this one to 23, test 2 3, and then I'll change it to test 2 4 so that you see the difference. Now once we run again, you will see that this one couldn't go through. Okay, this one couldn't go through. Now you can see here, we see that test 2 already exists. Okay, so now I'm getting something error here. Yes, test 2 already exists. Okay, now let's go back to our file, what we just did. Now you can see here, I have the test2, which I've already created. Okay, because I'm inside that folder. When I run my code, it has already created that, and I'm already in that folder. So that is why it's showing that error to us. But what I want you to know is that once you do that, it just created the link for us. Okay, so now this test2 that I wanted to create here, make directory, is telling me that this make directory already exists. So it's not going to do that. But you realize that here throw an error. So if I want this one to work, then I have to change this one to 4. So because this is where I want to create. So once I create here to 4, and then maybe I want to check the new one that just added to 4, and this line will create another one again. So let's run this code again. And you could see that it has just succeeded. I could see that I have test 2, 4. Okay, so which tells you that when you use the make gels, now even if the directory, the parent directory doesn't exist, it will create it for you. But here, it will not create it for you. So if maybe you want to be specific that you only want to create a subdirectory where the parent directory exists, then you can use this. So that is the difference between the make, the del, and that. Okay, so when you are working, you actually have to check the difference to decide at what point do I want to use this. Okay, now we have gone through with you when it comes to the, the globe, the OS, SH utility. We've gone through we've gone through all that. Okay, so these two, the globe, the SH utility, what does it? It help us for advanced file and directory manipulation. So now we actually need to really understand. Now you'll be seeing this word card with the globe. So the word card, when you have something like the star. So if maybe I have something like the star, what does it mean? So this star simply means matching everything. So you want to match everything. Okay, you want to match everything. So that's going to do with dot. Now when you have the star dot tst, okay, so what it means that you always want to match all files ending, want to do the one ending with what, tst. Now if I have this far comma this dot tst, what it means is that you want to match files like far dot a dot tst, far b dot tst, something, anything got to do with far and other name, other letters. So that is what it means. So the comma here, or the I say comma, the question mark, sorry, the question mark here represent a single character. So it could either be A or B or C or D. You can't have multiple there. So that's what this one means. So you have the same name here, the same name. So that got to do with file naming. So you could have, maybe you are in school, you may have your lecture materials being created. So the one creating your lecture material want to automate everything. So maybe you can start with the first letter, maybe A, B, C, or maybe uh, with some, maybe your course ID or something first, and then the next one should follow a particular character numbering. Okay, so that should take the second part. Okay, so in that case, automation will fill in the second question mark by adding those aspects, but the first one will be the same thing. And then you give the extension saying that all those files should have what does DST. Okay, now when you have wildcard dot question mark, what question mark one also means is that you are matching files with two characters extension. So like dot py, so any one with two extension, that is two character extension. So if it's three character extension like this, it doesn't work with that. So when you see this, you are only mapping with character what extension. Okay, now we check the file manipulation. So now with this one, we can use We can use the SH utility model to offer a higher level operation for working with directory. So we can do that. So you can do that. We can use the SH utility to do the copying. You can copy a file to another file or a new location. We can move a file by using the SH utility dot move to move a file to another directory, and then we can also delete the directory by using SHL dot remove directory. So this one will remove everything. If the directory is, maybe let's say that I'm working and my directory is having a data, okay, but once I'm using RM3, this one will remove even if I have content there. Okay, so what that you needed to do is that this help us to do something that before we cannot do. Okay, so you can just use this one to remove all the directories from there. Okay, so these are just the commands that when you do it, you place your directory that you want to, and then you take that. If you want to move, you place your directory there, and it will take that for you. Okay, so let's see some examples. So
Please, please, question before we go on the like
mhm.
the SH utility. Yeah, the question was that yeah, we can also use os dot remove directories to remove directories.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
you are saying that there's also what's the name, a method in SH utility or function that can be used to remove directories. But that one
mhm.
works for like non-empty directories.
Empty
I'm
that.
asking if the os dot remove directories also works same, like whether the directory is empty or not, can it remove it? Can it delete the directory?
No, no, no. You
Okay.
cannot.
So
Yeah.
it only works for like empty directories.
So it work for empty directory.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so now we come here. We want to list the content in the current directory. Okay, so for instance, if I want to list the content in the current directory, I can use the os.list there. So now when I have this dot here, it means that you should list all the content, whatever that it has in the folder. You should list everything. Okay, so this is going to list everything for us. Okay, now we have another example. So for instance, what already we are doing. Once we have this code, we're going to list all the content, whatever that I have there, it's going to give me in a list form. So whatever that will come in a list form because list directory. So it will come in a list form. So you can see that this is a list. Okay, now using the word card, we've gone through the word card. Okay, so using the word card with the globe. So now what it means is that we already know what this one means. So it matches all five directories. Okay, so that's what this one means. So it's going to match all files and directories within that. Now, if I have globe dot wildcard dot star, what it means is that going to match files with extensions. So all files with extension like py extension, like uh, like tst extension, like YE extensions, all files with extension. So that's what dots, because you know that dots, then the extension. So all files with extension. So that's what we these dots be dot extension, like the way you have dot txt. So it's going to match all, but star here matches all files. So the first star here, the third wildcard here matches all files. So the all files with the extension of folders, everything, because that's where you see the directory, everything, to match everything. Now I don't want to see my directory. I just want to focus with the file. So that one will be dot wildcard. So dot wildcard means that I want to see those ones that with what extension. So now it's going to eliminate what the directory and now focus on what the ones with what the extension. And then you can also specify. So instead of saying star here, you can specify and say that, hey, I only want to see the test TS extension, only those files. So in that case, you're going to only match with those ending with your TS files. Okay, so that's what this one means. So once you do that, it will pick all extensions, but you can specify which file extension you want to see. Okay, so that is going to give us that.